Hi, and thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation on why Vista Unified School District students must be given a hold harmless letter grade option for spring 2020. And please look for a call to action at the end of this presentation for the board's special meeting this Thursday, May 21st at 5 p.m. As many of you are aware, we are advocating for choice of letter grades for our students. After almost 6 weeks of hundreds of requests for a special meeting or adding to a regular meeting for consideration, Superintendent Doyle stated on May 18th that the special meeting agenda will finally include discussion of the temporary grading policy number 6301. The California Department of Education issued guidelines for districts when developing their grading policies during COVID. Critical to these guidelines is preserving the progress that students made prior to school closures and holding students harmless from negative impacts to their GPA. The credit, no credit only policy does not preserve progress nor hold harmless students from negative impacts to their GPA. This slide shows 3 ideas for a letter grade option. In the first option, the grade is no lower than what it was prior to school closure, and students can improve their grade during distance learning, or students can elect credit, no credit. In the second option, the grade is fixed at the grade earned prior to school closure, or students can elect credit, no credit. And the third idea is for credit, no credit, or students can elect to have grades no lower than it was prior to school closure, and students can improve their grade during distance learning. This idea could also work with grades from before school closure only. The bottom line is the district can approve to add a hold harmless letter grade option, and administration can come back promptly with details on how it will be implemented. The CD guidelines give wide latitude in this regard, particularly with how to provide student support, taking into account their unique circumstances. And you can see from this slide, the impact is real, especially for sophomores and juniors. But it is not too late. We still have time before any college applications are due and before the school year is over. After hundreds of hours of research by parents in the Vista Unified School District community, the data gathered proves there will be negative consequences from a credit, no credit only policy, as well as continued unknowns that compel us to preserve options for our students so they are not foreclosed from any future opportunities. There are current and future negative impacts from a credit, no credit only policy, including the risk for increased anxiety and depression from the lack of control this policy imposes by not letting students choose to show a more accurate measure of their earned grades and feeling like their future aspirations are going up in smoke. It also destroys the ability to improve the GPA, especially borderline GPA students who may be prevented altogether from even applying to colleges. It also seriously diminishes the ability for a student to be competitive for desperately needed merit scholarships. The one-size-fits-all credit, no credit only policy is not in alignment with the guidelines put out by the California Superintendent of Public Education, which states that students should be held harmless during distance learning, and also that districts must preserve the progress of students made prior to school closures. A credit, no credit policy does not preserve a student having an A, B, or C prior to school closure, since it is seen as a D, given the baseline has been set at 60% for credit in the credit, no credit policy. And worse, as shown in later slides, so many other districts in California and nationwide are offering a letter grade option that our students will be at a disadvantage versus all the other students that can show more data regarding their grades. Having a letter grade option meets all the CDE guidelines, and along with the credit, no credit option, provides students the ability to choose the best fit for them. One of the most unfortunate aspects of this issue is the inequitable application of the credit, no credit only policy to the schools within the district. Mission Vista High School was allowed to keep their grades as of school closure and improve them during distance learning through March 20th, and actually receive grades for their transcripts for third quarter. To date, the semester schools, RBV and VHS, have not even been offered this choice, leaving those students at a disadvantage compared to students within their own district. This is not in line with board policies to provide equal educational opportunities and not discriminate. And you can see from this slide that this inequity between Mission Vista and RBV and Vista can create a meaningful discrepancy in the GPA. And for those that understand the current ultra-competitive college application process, that discrepancy could make all the difference during the first cut at a college like, say, UCLA, that received 135,000 applications for the class of 2019. Let's be realistic. We would be fooling ourselves to think that the most competitive universities would use a holistic approach on all 135,000 applications and not instead use a bright line objective measure to get to a smaller, more manageable number to review holistically. As you can see from the next few slides, 14 of the 20 largest California school districts have adopted a letter grade option, including many with students in very challenging socioeconomic circumstances, similar to VISTA, such as San Diego Unified with 59% of students from low-income families, and LA Unified with 80% of students from low-income families. 16 of the 19 San Diego County districts have adopted a letter grade option, including San Diego Union High School District just this last Thursday. You can see from this slide, it shows exactly which districts have adopted letter grade options. And the next slide shows that based on one survey by CalMatters of 102 of the 1,037 districts in California, 68% of the 102 schools had adopted a letter grade option, representing 1.8 million students. If you apply that to all the districts, you start to understand that our students will now be competing with a significant disadvantage against a vast majority of high school students in California alone. As noted in an earlier slide, the college selection process is ultra competitive. Districts offering a credit, no credit only policy have relied on guidance from colleges that students will not be penalized for such grading. However, after much research and direct contact with colleges, the data proves that many colleges will still use all grades available to calculate GPA, and that GPA is still used for decisions on merit scholarships as well. Further, some colleges have not given clear assurances regarding credit, no credit grading. So based on the foregoing, it's simply illogical to say there is no harm to your competitive advantage if you are denied the opportunity to improve your GPA because your grades have been thrown into a non-descriptive, inaccurate credit category. Worse, the loss of this term's grades could rob students of even applying to UCs that require a 3.0 GPA and CSUs that are now requiring a 2.5 GPA. As you can see from the next slides, actual GPA calculations show that spring 2020 grades can make all the difference. In this example, GPA changed from 2.909 to 3.233, providing the opportunity to apply to UC. And in this example, the GPA changed from 2.409 to 2.607, providing the opportunity to apply to a CSU. Importantly, this may impact any student. A credit, no credit policy without letting children include their spring 2020 grades may impact any student that was counting on getting into Cal State University San Marcos under the WAVE Pact, which allows automatic admission for VISTA Unified School District students with a minimum GPA of 2.5. Disregarding the option to include any letter grades based solely on the virtual learning period home environment and concerns about an equity gap imply the belief that the students in these environments must not have worked hard before closure date, and that they do not also want their grades prior to that time or the ability to continue improving. It also implies a belief that only money equals effort, intelligence, perseverance, or grit. And finally, that good grades are exclusive to those not living in socioeconomically challenged households or who are not learning challenged students. These are simply erroneous views that do not represent these communities. Given the tremendous impact, how can a credit, no credit only policy possibly be deemed a hold harmless approach to grading? After all the research, we took a step back and tried to understand what harm there could be in offering a choice. Teachers are still recording grades and did so before school closure, so there's no extra work to show grades. Grades accurately recognize work and can help a student's GPA. Certain classes could always be taken as pass-fail. This is not a novel concept in the district. The answer then is there is no meaningful harm that outweighs the negative impacts discussed above, including the possible complete barring of a college hopeful student from applying to college or the harm imposed by making our students less competitive. Now more than ever, we need to have a flexibility in time of a crisis. There are many reasons we need flexibility. These reasons include mitigating an exodus of students from the district to other districts or charter schools offering letter grades, or avoiding harm to transfer students, since if they go to high schools offering grades, they will immediately be at a disadvantage for graduation honors or any other distinctions, let alone competing with classmates. This may particularly impact military families, as is discussed later. As noted at the top of this presentation and in the slides regarding how colleges will view the credit, no credit grading, there are simply still too many unknowns to justify permanently foreclosing options that students may need later to reach goals for which they have worked 12 years to attain. Medical experts are saying a vaccine for COVID-19 may not be developed and distributed widely until mid-next year or later. By arguing that work cannot be accurately assessed with a specific grade during distance learning, we are concerned that if the district continues distance learning in any form this fall or longer, our students will continue to be subject to a credit, no credit only policy that would effectively destroy their transcripts and their competitive ability versus millions of students in the United States and around the world competing for the same number of seats at possibly fewer colleges. The impact of a continued credit, no credit policy can be seen on the slide showing the holistic application review by colleges. We need to preserve the GPA of a student's college application since it is likely to be given more importance as access to other aspects such as community service or sports that are considered in a holistic application are limited due to continued social distancing measures. There is a risk that a 60% baseline for credit will impact students' ability to meet prereqs out of state for both high schools and community colleges, since 70% was the baseline pre-COVID, and while there are protections in place in California, there are no such protections outside of California. The credit, no credit only policy also appears to completely disregard the negative impact on transfer students. There are issues with meeting prereqs for higher level classes, especially in math. Students transferring to schools that offer a letter grade option, which as we have seen, there are many, will be at an immediate disadvantage when compared to classmates. And no local district could answer how it would impact graduation honors or class ranking. Military families will be particularly impacted since it is a known fact that they move many times during school age years and are already at risk to have pass-fail recorded on their transcripts from previous transfers. So the credit, no credit only policy compounds the issue. While there has been delay in having this issue added to a VUSD Unified School District Board meeting agenda, it is not too late to approve a hold harmless letter grade option. Based on all the data and analysis in this presentation, offering a letter grade option does less harm than a credit, no credit only grading policy. The community wants a letter grade option. If, despite all the data indicating that the credit, no credit only policy does harm to our students and does not preserve their academic progress, the district does not approve a letter grade option, they must tell the VUSD community the real impact of the credit, no credit only policy. That includes, without grades, 0 points will be added to your GPA. Millions of students in California and nationwide will have the opportunity to increase their GPA. You will be competing with these students in the college admission process. Colleges are still looking at GPAs, and while they won't hold a credit, no credit against a student, your GPA will still be competing with others that got to include grades from spring 2020. A lower GPA will impact chances for merit scholarships, where others are showing higher GPAs due to a letter grade option. And transfer students will have more burden and potentially lower GPAs from too many credit, no credits. The community needs to be told what is actually going to happen on their transcript and what the long-term effects are from having a credit, no credit only policy. And finally, we urge you to act now to save our students' futures. America was founded on freedom of choice. We need to help our students win back the choice to show their grades that they have earned based on tremendous work ethic. We also need your help now, today. Don't delay. Please email all of our board members and call them and our principals ASAP. Ask for a hold harmless letter grade option to be approved at the board's special meeting this Thursday, May 21st, 2020. School ends June 3rd. We only have a short window of time to amend this policy, but it's not too late. Also, in addition to emailing the board and telling them to approve a letter grade option, Please send an email comment for the agenda item between 5:30 and 6 p.m. on Thursday, May 21st, 2020, to have it read at the meeting. Be specific regarding the item. It should be item 2, but confirm on the agenda through the district website, and ask that it be read at the board meeting. Send that email to the email listed on this slide. Then attend and stay on the Zoom meeting until your comment is read, or it won't be read. If we can have 1,000 people email the board and submit comments, it is a powerful show of strong community support for a letter grade option for our students. Thank you for listening and for your help.